A Michigan Republican believes that God is going to take care of climate change. That's if it exists. Now, I'm going to show you a video of Representative Tim Walberg from Michigan at a town hall responding to a constituent on a question of climate change and what to do about it. Let's watch.
I believe there's climate change. I believe there's been climate change since the beginning of time. I think there are cycles. Do I think that man has some impact? Yeah, of course. Can man change the entire universe? No. Why do I believe that? Well, as a Christian, I believe that there is a creator and God who's much bigger than us. And I'm confident that if there's a real problem, he can take care of it.
I'm confident that if climate change were a real problem, that God will just fix it. He'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. Go ahead and continue to pollute, put more carbon and methane into the atmosphere, because God will just clean it up. That's if it's a real problem, which I'm not actually going to admit is a real problem, even though I just said, well, I do believe in climate change. I just don't believe in that climate change is affected by human beings. So that's this argument, right? I have a problem with this because what this argument basically says is that if there is climate change, God will come down and fix it. And if God doesn't come down and fix it, and we fuck ourselves, well, that just means that the problem isn't actually existing. It's not a real problem. There must not be climate change, even though the evidence is right before our eyes. Who are you going to believe? Me or your lying eyes? Come on, man. Now, some people, they're going to cheer at that logic even as their homes are getting underwater. Now, everyone else, religious or not, because even the Pope, even religious people are like, yeah, climate change is happening. That's obvious. And we, as good stewards of the earth, as the Bible told us to be, should actually be doing something about this to prevent the destruction of our environment. But, again, this guy doesn't believe in climate change. So, for those who don't, let's go over a couple of facts. Now, 97% of all the peer-reviewed published scientific papers on climate change. So these are papers that went through a peer review process that's supposed to say, or it's supposed to weed out the non-science from the science. 97% of those papers that have done studies on these on climate change say this is a problem. It's happening, and the rate of change is heavily influenced by human activity, namely agriculture as well as the burning of fossil fuels. Now, he also says, well, they also say, the scientists do, that it's also a very, very big problem that we actually need to do something about this. Now, they love to call scientists alarmists, when really their predictions of scientists, are actually very conservative. Not conservative ideologically. I'm just saying that their initial predictions didn't actually take into the effect of how fast it was actually warming. So that's why it's off, and that's why conservatives will point to it and say, your graph's wrong. Yeah, because it was making the most conservative estimate. We didn't realize how bad it was going to be. We didn't realize how fast it was going to start warming up. And this is becoming a snowball effect, literally. Because if all the snow melts in, like, Antarctica and a lot of the permafrost, well, that's going to release more methane. That's going to be even worse for the planet. It's going to cause even more warming. So, disaster. Now, the scientists do that, of course, because as a rule, scientists are supposed to be skeptical, and so they test and retest, and they try not to be alarmist. But right now, there is big cause for alarm. And unfortunately, people like this guy, there's no alarm. You know why? Because the magic man in the sky will come and fix it if it's a real problem. So don't worry about anything. Someone else will come in and take care of your problems. Wait a minute. I thought conservatives were supposed to be people who believed in personal responsibility. Well, when it comes to personal responsibility for the planet, we don't have any of that. We're not going to take care of the environment. We're not going to take care of our pollution. We're not going to take care of any of that. We're just going to let God do it. You think if God exists, that he would be happy for his creations to fuck up his creations? I don't think so. And this is me speaking as a non-religious person, but to the religious people that I have spoken to that believe in this issue, even they're like, no, I don't think God would be happy at all. We're supposed to be stewards of the environment. And the people who are not, they're not really Christian. They're not taking care of God's creation. And so that's an interesting insight. Again, like I said, not all Christians are like this guy. This guy is basically hiding behind Christianity in order to continue making an extra buck from his donors. That's what this magical thinking is all about. Now, I hope Wahlberg sincerely does not have any kids or grandkids, because the kind of stuff that he's espousing and the kind of policies that he continues to back with more oil and natural gas, more fossil fuels, burning more of those fossil fuels without regard to the environmental impacts, well, that's going to create a world that's not going to be very well for any of his kids or grandkids. So we're not taking care of the environment. We're not doing a good job at this. And people like Wahlberg are going to continue heading us in that direction. Wahlberg, Trump, Scott Pruitt over at the EPA, they're all leading us into environmental disaster. And why anybody who cares about the environment at all would vote for Republicans, and I'm not saying all Republicans are like this. There are Republicans out there that do believe in solar energy. Look, I showed you the poll. Part of that 73% obviously involves Republicans who care about the environment, who care about switching over to renewable energy, alternative energy sources. The rest of those Republicans, I don't have a problem with. But the ones who continuously deny science and climate change and continue to get more and more money from their fossil fuel donors, those are the Republicans I have a problem with. And those are Republicans that do not need to get voted for, that need to get voted out of office. And if I had it my way, laughed out of office. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.